The Arizona Grateful Hour June edition. We are so excited to have such a big group of people with us. If everybody wants to just make sure that they're showing the attendees in the gallery, you'll be able to see everyone. Otherwise, if you don't toggle that setting, you'll only see the person that's speaking. So we are so grateful to have you. And with that, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our new president, a good friend of mine and ours, Samantha. So Sam, all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. I really appreciate you and Kelly and the folks from Centauri putting this together and hosting it. I think, now more than ever, our mental health is under attack as a fair statement, and the environment out there is really crushing. So I thank you for joining us, and I commend you on taking a minute for yourself to get centered. It's been said we can't pour from an empty cup, rather. And, in order for us to take care of ourselves and those around us, we really need to be mindful about taking the time. So I'm really very grateful in spirit of Great Flower for Kelly, for Callie, and Carrie, the Hard C team here that put this all together. And again, I welcome everybody and glad to see everybody's smiling faces. Until such time as we can meet again in person, this is going to have to do and kind of tide us over. So I'd like to introduce my friend and my peer, Kelly Bauer from Centauri NHI, who is our facilitator and our enabler here today. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Sam. I just want to echo, it is so nice to see everybody's smiling faces, but I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Carrie tonight. I wanted to say that Centauri is a platinum sponsor and a very proud sponsor of the Arizona chapter. And it's in moments like this that I think it's so important when we have the opportunities to cherish coming together as a community. As Carrie mentioned a little bit before, we actually started a corporate mindfulness program called Centauri. And so I was delighted to have Carrie join us today. She's the Director of Recruiting and Human Capital Management with Centauri Health Solutions, and she comes to us with over 15 years of experience and, dare I say, discipline in yoga and meditation. So I'm really excited for us to kind of learn to find balance in a world that's noisy, in a world that is, albeit sometimes crazy, and help us hone in on that gratitude. So I do want to say, encourage you to participate at the level that you're comfortable. So if you would prefer to turn video off and mute yourself as Carrie guides us, please do so. Once she's done, we'll go ahead and encourage people to turn videos back on. So Carrie.
Thank you very much. My name is Carrie Krupp. I'm the Director of Recruiting and Human Capital Management at Centauri Health Solutions. I've been there for about 4.5 years. And a huge other part of my life is, as Kelly mentioned, has been yoga, mindfulness, and meditation. I had always had the dream of combining my two worlds together, my corporate life and my yoga meditation life. And as some of the executives and leaders at Centauri had felt supportive of that, it always fell to the wish list, because in my 4.5 years at Centauri, we've grown from 30 to 1,100 wonderful employees, but that left very little time for the nice to haves, and that meditation and mindfulness program sort of fell in that bucket. Fast forward to March 2020, we pivoted and transitioned 1,100 employees home in 2 weeks. And the leadership team did a tremendous job in doing that and supporting everyone's ability to be home with children who now did not have school, and to keep our employees healthy. And it was a moment of crisis. And in that moment of crisis, there was an opportunity for myself and a couple of my colleagues who also have different types of experience to launch Centauri. I'm not a very creative person, but I was thrilled to have named the program Centauri. And what we do is teach a very accessible and tangible style of accessing mindfulness and meditation. It is a style that is highly accessible to someone who isn't interested in necessarily being a meditator, who may find it a little foo-foo or out there. And my own personal story, just to touch very, very briefly on that, of finding this path, it did take me a few different tries. Rewind many years ago, as a young working professional in New York City on Wall Street. I thought I had an ulcer and was consumed with a 70-hour work week and stress. And someone said, oh, go try yoga. And I went to a yoga class and everyone was sitting cross-legged position and their hands in the meditative position, eyes closed. And I was wiggling my ankle, tapping my toe, looking at my watch thinking, I could be burning 500 calories right now. I can't sit here and do this, and left. Fast forward many years later, I had just had my second child, who brought me the gift in the spirit of gratitude of 16-hour-a-day colic. And there were very little outlets to try and find anything other than a screaming, crying child and a now screaming toddler. And someone again had said, go try this, it's life-changing. And it was really in a moment of desperation where my world was very noisy. I had a noisy child, and I was noisy in my head with a lot of stress and anxiety. My mother had also passed away unexpectedly and tragically right before that. And I went to the yoga studio and I met people, and they talked in a language that I didn't understand, and they talked about floating on a sea of grace. And I was like, I don't know what you're all talking about, but I was quiet. In that class, I was forced to be quiet. And in that quiet, I began to let go of some of the things of wanting to control the outcome with this baby who didn't stop crying, of the stress of the whole situation. And I found a way to get out of my own way, because the poofy language didn't work for me. I was very intense, very wound, very Western language. And it did it. And when I got out of my own way to not necessarily listen to the words, but to move into how I felt, that's when things started to connect. And so for today, I'm going to take us through a couple of different types of exercises. If you happen to have a pen or paper near you, or you're on your computer, I encourage you to put it on silent or do not disturb, any dings or bings around you with phones. To take this time, you've carved it out on your calendar. So visualize that invite holding this physical time special for you. If you would like to, you can turn off the video for yourself and mute so that we can have less distraction and a little more quiet. And I'm going to invite you to consider some things. Everything I will offer is a suggestion and an invitation. And ultimately, you can hear that offer and that suggestion, take a little, take a lot, but it's really meant to just consider and evaluate different things. So what is mindfulness anyway? So mindfulness is the first step of coming into a disciplined practice and a disciplined effort. And mindfulness is just choosing to do something with intention. And for today's exercise, we're going to choose to direct our attention and our thoughts and our feelings towards that concept, that overarching concept of gratitude. Something really challenging in a world where there is tremendous amount of collective pain, collective challenge, whether it's with ourselves, in relation to our jobs, in relation to our health, in relation to our families. If you have elderly parents, this is impacting them tremendously. If you have children of any age, it's impacting them tremendously. And also societal shifts with significant movements that are anchored in a collective pain and trauma. And so how do we, even at this moment where we could say this is one of the lowest lows in history, how do we cultivate gratitude, and even sort of what is the point? The gift of gratitude is that it is one of the most accessible ways to shift your thoughts, your feelings, and your physical chemical makeup to be in a place that is healing. Where those good feeling endorphins and chemicals start to course through your body. But it's not so easy when you turn on the news, or even if you try to run away from the news, which is often the case. We hear things from colleagues and friends and families. How do you sort of flip that switch when things are tough? And that's where mindfulness and intention comes into play. And we use different tools that are easily available, that are free, that go with you all the time. The master tool is breath work, and we teach ourselves these skills and these practices to be able to create this momentary reset. And when I say momentary, it could be 1 second, it could be 30 seconds or 1 minute. I'm not talking about turning yourself into a different person, floating on that sea of grace that I talked about, that someone asked me if I was going to do that. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. So first step is to be mindful. I'm going to set aside time, which we're doing together today. I'm going to carve out some quiet by silencing the noises and dings and bings around me. I'm going to set myself in a physical seat. So wherever you are, if you're in a chair and you'd like to sit on the floor, I'm always comfortable on the floor, do that. If you're comfortable in your chair, do that. If you're at home and you'd like to lay flat on your back, feel free to do that. And we carve out this very intentional, and I'll use that word many times, intentional space to pause. And instead of the arrows focused out where we're doing our job and caring for our family and chores and have-tos and all the things where the energy goes out, this is where we turn those arrows back in. And the visual that I like to use is the battery filling up, or that account filling up, or that cup filling out, where we get to fill our own resources and capacities before we go out to do more for others. So first we're mindful, and then we choose a deliberate practice that we can call meditation, because we're going to involve using breath to shift gears and to power ourselves down, and to use some physical realities that we all have as a human being with this physical body, and the reactions that we get to have and the benefits that we get to have when we use breath work, to be able to direct our attention to something specific. And for today's practice, that's going to be gratitude. So I'm going to invite you to take a comfortable seat. If you ever engage in a meditative practice, that is a word, a phrase that we use, take a comfortable seat. So what does that mean? It means whatever that means to you. It could also mean laying flat, as I gave you that option. So you could wiggle in your chair. I'm going to jiggle out my legs because they've been crossed, and reset them and shift a little bit. Rock a little bit so that you can actually feel your sit bones gently press down. And wherever you are, take your body and sort of lean the body back so that you're centering the crown of the head over the tailbone. I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of physical movement to create a little clenching and tension in your body, so that we can then feel the opposite of the relaxing. So give a little wiggle, shake your arms out. There's an opportunity to put your hands facing up on your knees or facing down. And then shrug your shoulders up and down a couple of times and shake, and then let the chin slightly drop. I'll invite you to close your eyes, and I might close my eyes for a long period of time as I'm still speaking. If that's uncomfortable for you, let your eyes gaze at something that doesn't move. So not even at the screen, because you might see me, but just at a dot on the table, a dot on the wall, something that doesn't move, and let your eyelids be soft. So the first thing we always do in a meditative practice is come into this present moment. So sort of feel yourself sitting in your chair, and almost like a footprint in the sand that's pressing down. See if you can press whatever's touching the floor down a little bit. Imagine a hand on the top of your head, and as your seat presses down, imagine your head growing tall. So that we're really lengthening the energy through the spine and making that spine nice and straight. At the same time, think about your core and give it just a hint of an engagement. So you're really strengthening through your center, supporting your back. Let the chin slightly drop so the head can relax, and let the shoulders drop away from the ears. Before we start breathing, we're just going to take a subtle scan of the body, beginning with the forehead. So notice the forehead. See if you can let the forehead soften just a little bit. Eyebrows soften, your eyes are closed or gently half closed. Almost feel if your eyeballs can sort of be a little heavier in their sockets. We scan the face, the lips. Lips ideally are closed, and the breath is nasal if possible. Of course, if that's not possible, then just make an adjustment. Take your shoulders and lift them up to your ears and feel how uncomfortable that is. And then drop them and let them relax down towards the floor. Maybe give a little shake and feel how much better that feels. One more time. Shrug the shoulders. So this is the feeling we don't want, that reflection of tension. And then drop the shoulders away from the earlobes and feel this length from your earlobes down to your shoulders. Feel a lightness of your collarbones and a lightness in your chest. A melting down the upper back to the lower back. a softness in the belly and a softness in the hips, and almost a radiating from shoulders down your arms to your fingertips, heaviness and softness, and then the same sensation from the hips down the legs. So looking to connect our feelings into our physical body, grounding and anchoring in the present moment. And when we involve the physical body, it's a little easier to bring ourselves to right now. Now we'll begin to just notice the breath. So the first exercise is going to be very simple. We're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. The meditative aspect is we're going to try to put multiple layers of attention and focus on each inhale and exhale. And the invitation is to count, visualizing those numbers, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1, again through the nose. Inhale, C1, C2, see the number 3, and then 4, and then exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe the numbers are your favorite color. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that in your mind's eye and feel the breath. Expand your lungs and belly. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now feel a contraction, 4, 3, 2, 1. Together, your body, maybe even the numbers expand, 1, 2, expanding, 3 and 4. From that expansion, contract, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that rhythm going. Keep that count going in your mind, feeling the sensations of expansion in your body as you bring breath in, feeling the contractions as you push breath out. I will be quiet a couple more rounds on your own with your count, with an awareness on the sensations of the breath. Excellent work as you breathe in simply and out. Maybe 2 more rounds. Last round together. And then don't change anything. Just let the breath go back to a natural, uncontrolled state. And as you let the breath be uncontrolled, begin to observe how you feel. If you typically don't engage in this type of breath work, you may feel a long list of things, or some things from this long list, I should say. You may feel tingles. You may feel lightheaded. You might feel giggly. You might feel weepy. You might feel at ease. You might feel frustration. And there is no right and there is no wrong. When you're ready, let the eyes flutter open softly. If they were open, just blink a few times. And coming back together. If you have a notebook, a pad, and you wanted to jot down anything about how you felt, or a question for later when we do some Q&A. So the breath work takes control of the thoughts and the emotion. And we're not asking people to be quiet. And this was really interesting for me when I started to be receptive to this type of work. I thought, I'm a neurotic lunatic. I can't be quiet. I can't meditate. I can't have an empty mind or no mind. And what was really made this accessible is that it's not that you press an off switch, because I can't ever do that. I can't press off. It is that we learn to direct and become a little more directive and intentional where the mind goes. And we give it very specific things to do instead of the very scattered thoughts, my to-do list, where I have to go, where's my child, did they finish their homework, oh, I'm late, I gotta send an email. We're reining that in and replacing it, even if just for a few moments, with something very specific. So for me, counting replaces some of the other neuroses or the chattiness of the mind. The sensation is grounding for all of us to anchor us here, because we're engaging in that physical body. And that type of breath, while we're doing it together seated in a very controlled space, that type of breath is a gift that you can give yourself any time of day. So during the classes that we do at work, a lovely invitation is to bookend your day. My desk is right now next to my bed because we have a full house when we did not think we'd have a full house of many people working from the same space. So there's literally no separation between my personal life and my work life. So to start the day, I will sit and only 1 minute, I only got 1 minute to spare, require myself to do 10 rounds of inhales and exhales to start my day. And same thing as the bookend to close my day. It's a gift you can give yourself at bedtime. You don't have to say, I don't want to start meditating for 10 minutes. 1 minute, spot 6 to 10 rounds of breath. Inhale and exhale. Everybody can do that. When you're brushing your teeth, you're there anyway. So instead of scrolling on the phone with the other hand, maybe someone does that, checking email. I don't know who, that must be a crazy person. But instead of doing that, say, I'm just going to do my breath counting here. Like a muscle, this increases effectiveness with repetition and becomes a stronger capacity. And the gift to give ourselves, and that's the true essence. There's the gift that you give yourself, and then that's the gift that keeps on giving to those around you, is that you then get to apply that to times where there is a reaction, often an emotional reaction or a physical reaction to stimuli or stress. So again, that frustrating email comes in, we feel a response. If you can then say, hold on, I'm gonna go do that breath thing, 1 minute. It gives you a window, a micro moment to shift and to then become a little more intentional about the response that you choose. With your family, with your spouse, with your in-laws, with the reality of the news, with the very real stress and trauma that's coming to us that's in our world. So that is what's the baseline. What we can then add on top of that is that gift of gratitude, because next exercise we're going to do together, we're going to use that rhythm of the breath. That rhythm of the breath is moving us away from any type of stress response, so any adrenaline or cortisol. We're flipping the switch to be in the rest and digest stage. We're calming endorphins, calming hormones, and then we're calm, and we're going to add this ability to take that up the next rung of the ladder to layer in a layer of gratitude. So take a seat. We're going to jiggle. I need to shake my legs out, give a little wiggle, and we'll come back to another seat. And we're going to do two things together. We're going to offload some of the burdens that we all carry, and then we're going to replace those with things that we're appreciative for. So for the next moment, think of just 5 things that's on your plate, on your proverbial plate. And it can be, I use an image. I told these guys yesterday that I have the visual of a backpack. We all carry around our burdens. And in that backpack are my normal, I have more than 5, but for today we'll say 5. I have all the stuff, right? We have one big giant brick of work related stuff, one giant brick of family. Each of your children may be their own brick, or family members, or pets, or friends. Maybe for legitimately a friend is having a hard time. Maybe there's stress related to someone close to you being ill. Maybe there's very real financial stress on us all. So think of those 5 things and almost visualize them in that backpack. And then conversely, we're going to think of, in the visual of feathers, the 5 things that we're grateful for. And they could be very simple or they could be profound. And gratitude does not have to come in the form of being grateful for winning a lottery or having everything in perfection. The gratitude comes in the simplest things, and I'll even qualify that to say, pick 2 things that are so basic. Grateful for just having a body that I can move, having a life that allows me to carve out any time, and especially a full hour, to do something for myself. And then add on to that a couple of the other things. Grateful for being in a space, in healthcare space, that has impact and meaning to others. Grateful for family, for friends, for pets, and anything else that you think about. So coming back to our seat, so we do this repeatedly. We come out of this meditative state, we come back in. We go out, we come back in. And again, like a muscle, that becomes a skill that we get to really refine. So finding your comfortable seat, or if you were laying down, hopefully whoever's driving the car does not have to lay down. Jiggle and wiggle, and you want to anchor in the body. So you can even clench and relax your fists a little bit. You can shake them out. Those are tools that help you to come into your physical suit. We're going to lay our hands down. We're going to shift a little, shrug the shoulders. And again, whatever's touching the floor presses down. Whatever is not, like the crown of your head, lengthens up. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold the air in, feel a little uncomfortable, and then let a soft sigh out the mouth. So coming back with the lips closed. Don't change the breath just yet, but notice it traveling in and out through the nose. And so we come back into the space. Almost see yourself sitting here in the space that you carved out on your calendar, in the space that you carved out in your home. Notice now with a little more intention the inhales and exhales. And we'll take a few rounds together of that breath, counting into the number 4. Feel free to adjust and make that breath shorter or longer if you're feeling that you want a little less or a little more. So together, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, all awareness on the sensation. How does it feel to pull that air in, breathing in to 4, and then exhaling, contracting as you push the air out through the nose if possible. Eyes are closed. Again, breathing in, and again, breathing out. Keep that rhythm. So on our little backpack, or in our little backpack, I should say, we have those 5 blocks or bricks, things that can be heavy, but that we're appreciative to have to carry along. Think and imagine pulling out that first brick, lifting it out of the backpack, inhale. And on the exhale, place it somewhere outside the room. Next inhale, go for number 2. Inhale, lifting off that second heavy load that you carry. And on the exhale, imagine placing that down outside of the room. We're going for item number 3. Really see it. If it's a person, see their face. If it's a topic, give that an image. And on an exhale, put that outside of the room. Again, 4, really see what you're lifting. Lift, 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 lift it higher. And exhale, place it further away from you than some of the others. And on the final one, lifting that last load that we carry around. It's okay, we're capable, but for right now, exhale, we'll place it down. Back to the breath, inhales and exhales. Keep that rhythm of breathing for the next moment. So imagining that we offloaded some stuff that is heavy for us, and that reflects a little bit of effort to carry those things along a typical day. Feel your chest lift and almost feel your crown of the head grow a little taller as you feel a little lighter. With that empty backpack, that represents available space now to choose what we'd like to put in. And what we're going to put in is going to leave us still feeling very light. So inhale that first feather. What is it that you're grateful for? Inhale, see the feather, and exhale, let that feather fall into that empty backpack. Inhale, item number 2. See it lift above you, and exhale, let it gently fall into the backpack so you're making it available to yourself, but still feeling so light. Inhale, item 3. It might be a person, it might be a pet. Visualize whatever vision correlates. Exhale, take that with you. Same for number 4. Inhale. Maybe the corners of your mouth lift as you're thinking of these 5 precious things that you're grateful for. Exhale, let it fall in. And number 5, inhale. The corners of the mouth can lift a little higher. And exhale, hold. Backpack full of 5 lovely things. Stay here and breathe. Stay here and use that rhythmic count to stay present. The gift of gratitude is that there is a lightness to it. I use the image of feathers to represent that. Knowing that this is accessible as easy as it is to take a breath in and a breath out. So the heaviness will leave for later. It's there for you to collect any old time. When we're finished, you can go grab any or all of those bricks and stuff and put them back in. For now, we'll stay light and let go of the controlled breath and let the breath just come in and out naturally. As you do that, notice again how you feel. No right or wrong words. The only words are the words that come up to you. These are feelings that don't have to be good or positive. There can be a little bit of sadness that is absolutely normal. There can be a little bit of tears. Sometimes people have tears in their eyes. When you're ready, let the eyes flicker open and blink a couple of times. So if you have a notebook and there's anything that you wanted to write down, please feel free to go ahead. The interesting thing with gratitude is that you can play with what comes first. Do I play with breath work and to find feelings of gratitude, or can I find feelings of gratitude first? And then that brings about the ability to breathe deeply, because gratitude again brings us to that same place that very specific meditative breath work does, where you get to feel calm and relaxed. And so the two are beautiful partners. They go hand in hand. And so this is the place that I call coming back to human being, instead of what many of us spend our days is being a human doing. And in this state of human being is a wonderful gift to fill back up and to recharge. Many of us have tremendous responsibilities professionally and personally, and we're in a world that is pulling us in many different directions. Ironically, unfortunately, being at home. So there's that duality where we're stuck at home and we're pulled in different directions and have a lot of stress. I invite you to consider some of the effects of the breath work. And again, many people, because we pause, and because there's so much stress and anxiety and trauma right now, when you pause, all those feelings of stress that we often push down start to percolate and bubble to the surface. That is all good, because those feelings pushed down eventually come out sometimes in not productive ways. So I will close with that concept of finding little windows, micro moments of just counting 5 to 10 rounds of breath, where you can shift in and slow roll into a state of being. And that can come with you anywhere that you go. You could be driving, use physical anchors. So when you're driving, if you use your hands and say, I'm going to focus on feeling the steering wheel now, I'm going to see the tree, and use these anchors. And then as you're driving, don't close your eyes, but you can take a few breaths and just inhale, I'm grateful, and on the exhale, for blank. And really play with that type of exercise to challenge your relationship to the moment, your relationship to situations, relationship to stimuli. When we're all stuck in houses with sometimes other people, tensions can go high. And just begin to be curious. What happens when I pause and I take 10 breaths before reacting? And jot down notes, because it really is interesting to find that journey. I'm going to pause there. We do have some time for questions. I'm an open book. I certainly don't have every answer, that's for sure. But I'd be happy to either answer anything that I can, or at least provide resources or find resources if any of this topic interests you and you're interested in learning more. Come on back on your videos and off mute.
Thank you,
That was
Carrie.
awesome. Let's give her a round of applause, everybody. Don't we feel amazing?
Stop.
That was a good round of applause. So we have definitely opened up the chat function if anybody wants to utilize the chat function. Carrie, that was such a great experience. One of the questions I have is, when we get quiet and we start to deal with those emotions bubbling up, like, what would be a good response to kind of keep those emotions in motion and work through them so they don't come out sideways?
So the funniest thing is that in the Buddhist and meditative space, people are taking the word social distancing and applying it to your feelings. And that's such an interesting image. And so when things come up, you have the choice to see it. And so the images that you use are really powerful. So let's say that feeling of fear comes up. I'm fearful about X, Y, or Z due to this very real pandemic. I use the anxiety of my kids never going back to college. And, I laugh and say they'll be here forever, but the real, that real anxiety of their lives just being totally ripped from them. And if you can distance yourself, we use this word every day about a bajillion times, socially distance, and see it from a little bit of a space. And you don't have to react to it right now. And the only thing to do is to take an inhale and an exhale and say, hold on, feeling. And we use the image of clouds also. That cloud, it's gonna go by. If you tried to grip it, it will evaporate in your hand. So you're a little distance from that cloud. That emotion is on that cloud. That fear, that anxiety, and again, founded in real things, is there. The one answer always comes back is to come back to inhale and exhale. And I can sit with this for one breath. I can sit with this for two breaths, and I can usher it away. Another image in Buddhism and Eastern philosophies is the term monkey mind. And the mind is viewed as an undisciplined, restless, primitive creature that is just running all over the place. And that's okay. So that gives us permission. And I think one of the other things that is very important in the work is to give yourself permission. It's okay for me to feel this feeling. And I can cry, scream, kick, yell, or be elated because something positive happened. But I'm also going to put a little distance between me and extreme positive, extreme negative emotion. And I'm going to say, okay, monkey, I got you. Good, good, good. I heard that. And then just say, let's move it along now. I'm going to take a breath. And it always comes back to one inhale and one exhale at a time.
That's awesome. We're going to open it up, y'all. Many of us are still on mute. So who's got feedback and comments for the amazing experience we just had?
I just want to say thank you. That was really wonderful and something that I know for me I needed recently, especially with some stresses from work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Kayla, you have an amazing swing too, by the way. Before you take us off mute, could you just give us a little bit on the swing there? That was awesome.
Oh, so I do aerial yoga. I'm sure Carrie's familiar with it. And so I've had a swing installed in my house.
That's awesome.
During quarantine, because I couldn't go to the studio anymore, and I needed a way to zone out and be able to do that.
And go upside down. So if anyone who goes upside down, the world is all great when you're upside down. That's the funny part.
It's amazing. I mean, anybody ever want to come over to my house and try it, they're more than welcome. Or I know our studio's opening up back soon.
Just let it go, right? Let it go upside down.
Yep.
I don't know what the weight limit on your load-bearing walls is. I don't want to try that.
300 pounds.
No, I could get that.
We are bonding. Seriously, guys, open forum. Jeff, thoughts?
Oh, I said thank you to Carrie. It's just amazing. It's a feeling that if you don't be intentional and really take the time to just feel your own body and listen to your own breaths and empty the backpack and use feathers to put back in. I could just actually feel the changes in the load on my back, so to speak. That was just amazing to feel.
Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, again, echo your thanks, Carrie, Kelly, Centauri, Kelly, for putting this together. I think that the imagery of the bricks in the backpack was pretty significant. And I think what I love about it is it's so easy I don't have to have a swing installed in my house. I can just do this kind of wherever. So thank you for the tools. I appreciate it.
I mean, you might have a swing in the house. We don't know.
Oh, Ellie.
Okay.
Sophia Kim, with your virtual backgrounds, you had like so many awesome. I think is this your first time joining our virtual Grateful Hour?
It is, and I'm here because we were advertising for HFMA region Arizona, and I work with Kelly and Julie and Carrie and Shanna, who's joining you from a different HFMA region. So I'm really excited to be here. So glad that you guys were able to experience some of the things that we get to do with Carrie every week. So
yeah, you guys are lucky.
Yeah, we are.
And
We
you
are.
said Shanna, is that her name? Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Shanna, can you give us a shout out? We'd love to hear your voice. Maybe?
Can you see me?
No, oh, you're gonna give us video? Yay!
Well, sure.
Real.
Yay. Hi.
Hi.
So I come to you from Kansas City.
So Sunflower chapter?
Actually, Greater Heartland chapter.
Greater
So
Heartland. Okay.
yeah, so we were 3 chapters that merged into one about 2.5 years ago, and so now we are the largest chapter in HFMA, and it comes with a lot of challenges.
Well, we are so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome anytime. We've got Sam's mom. Julie's here. Julie, we haven't heard your voice yet.
Hi, everybody. It's
Hi,
nice
Julie.
to see Carrie on the move there. I mean, usually we don't deal in this Zen moment, so it's better you do it than me trying to guide us through a meditation. So thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the chapter. Thank you so much for letting us do this.
Well, we're excited to have you, Joanne. Thanks. Nice to see you back.
You too, Kelly. Thanks. And I want to say thank you so much to Carrie. And I'm curious because I do have a meditation practice I work on, and my husband gave me one of those watches that tracks your heart rate and stress and everything. So I did a little test before we started and noticed where I was. And after the first exercise, my stress level went down 9 points. So yeah, so really cool metric. However, I'm curious, I might have made my backpack too heavy because after that exercise, it went up higher than when we started.
So that is so cool. So when I invited you to think about your stress and your intensity, then that went right up. So that gives you an opportunity. Everything here is opportunity. And everything is sort of, there's also this entire philosophy built into Eastern philosophies and yoga of seeing clearly. There's nothing wrong. That is a gift of being able to see it clearly, to know that those triggers elevate your stress level. And that is normal because we can't walk through this life, and especially not in 2020, this year can't go by fast enough without those stresses. And so again, like that friendly monkey, and the nice part of the image of the monkey is that there's the friendliness to it. Instead of being angry, that monkey on your back or your backpack, you're like, oh, hey, I know you do this to me normally. I know you like to press my heart rate, and those endorphins go right back up, stress response. But I'm gonna practice with you. I'm gonna play a little bit, and I'm gonna leave you a little bit further away, and I'm gonna go back to that breath. And so without being attached to the metric, and I got my own too of the measure, and I love that you're so plugged into those metrics, put a little space between you and that, and tune into feeling. And if you're curious, you can watch the watch and you can watch the numbers, but go into feeling. Did I feel that starting to put pressure on my chest or a little clenching in my throat? Go back to the magical answer is inhale and exhale. Because there is a beautiful, there's a beautiful saying about how the right now is all I have. And so all you have really, the past is I'm analyzing and I'm brooding and I'm trying to repeat and deal with something brooding in the past, which is a depressive feeling, or I'm worried about the future. Now I'm high, intense, aggressive anxious about the future. And so those two polarized ends, if you're right here, right now, you can come and start to feel that feeling. So feeling in your body, feeling in your breath. Notice how you feel. And then out of curiosity, I like to check the metrics too, do a little scan, but don't view it as a negative. Oh no, I ruined it by going up. No, you won because you're aware of going up. Back to Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours of becoming an expert at something. Think of this as, I'm gonna practice this 10,000 times. I'm gonna take 10,000 inhales and exhales and see what happens with each one. And it gives yourself permission to not win at it or succeed at it or to beat it. It's the experience of the trying, and it's the gift of the try, and not necessarily the winning of the metric and checking off the box.
That's really hard for
Thank
type
you
A
so much.
personalities.
Yes.
I really know.
Exactly.
But the gift of the type A, and I'm very forthcoming. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm an 11.5 to a 12.
Oh, boy.
When you're like that, if you can bring yourself to a 7 for a little glimpse of a moment, that is huge. And that's what this work did for me. To be a 2, you'd have to like put something in my veins here. I'll never be a 2. I mean, you'd have to make me a different person. But I can play with being an 11 to a 7 and an 8. Ooh, maybe I'll be a 6 for one breath. But I can play in that space. When I go back to 11, I'm like, yeah, come on, girl, let's go back. Let's come on down here. Come on, monkey, bring you in. I have one other image that I like to use for myself, my 11 self. And then you play with that, and it becomes interesting. It becomes curious. If you're a 6 and you go to a 4, that's another gift for yourself. The other image I use for myself, I'm very visual, is the breath is, you're walking down that center path. So my breath, inhale, exhale, one step, inhale, exhale, and you can meditate. Your left hand is a puppy, it's your thoughts. Your right hand is a puppy, and it's your emotions. And those two begin to pull you off track. I'm thinking about what I gotta do, dinner, I gotta make dinner. Did someone take out the fish? Is it defrosted? I'm over here. Oh no, someone didn't take out the fish, and I asked them to, and my feelings, I'm over there. And the puppies, we're not going to be angry about it, and we're not going to be aggressive. We're going to gently come back, guys. And how many times do you got to at least train your puppies? It's a lot of tries. And so we gently bring them back with an inhale and an exhale. And it's that relationship that you get to develop with all parts of you that really starts to let go of some of that judgment, that label, that standard, I gotta be. Because when we add puppies, it makes us smile and feel warm and fuzzy. And that's really what we want to cultivate with ourselves, because you would give that gift to your best friend, to your child, to your spouse. You would give the gift of that softness and that generosity, but we're very harsh to give that to ourselves.
That was a really good one. We've got a couple minutes. Any last thoughts or remarks?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Well, this was just like one of the benefits that we are happy to be virtually offering to Centauri. We're so grateful for the Platinum support. Kelly, you and your team have knocked it out of the park. So let's close by giving them one more round of applause, and then we can go have fish or chicken or whatever we're gonna have.
I'm sure it wasn't defrosted, but I'm going to be grateful that I find another reason to be grateful.
Oh, great.
Thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for having me.
Goodbye.